Hello, everybody. We are here at Mountain America Stadium following Arizona State's season opener, where they overcame Wyoming 48-7 in a near shutout victory. I'm Justin Mastratosa. That's publisher Ho Rubino. And Ho, coming into this matchup, Arizona State favored by less than a touchdown, but that was quickly put to rest. Really, just in every facet, and we'll dissect that a little more. But let's talk about this offense. Not really a lot put on the shoulders of a redshirt freshman, Sam Levitt. And the rushing attack, this is one of the better running back groups that Arizona State's had in a very long time, and they put that up as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's start with Sam Levitt. Like you said, I think it was an excellent game plan. He only attempted 22 passes, completed 14 of them, did have two touchdown passes, 258 yards, and the rushing attack really complemented the passing attack with 241 yards. So when you have such a balanced effort, you're definitely going to go out there and beat a lot of teams, definitely a team in the caliber of Wyoming. Sure, this is a Cowboy team that was only 1-4 on the road last year, but nonetheless, I think there were definitely some question marks about this ASU offense, especially about the passing game. But I think kudos to the coaches. They did put a lot on the shoulders of the rushing attack, and I think that just opened up that much more for the passing game. I also think that Sam Levitt showed a lot of mobility. I don't think it's really a surprise, but I think maybe there were some people out there that were questioning how mobile he really is. When he had the long touchdown to Kyson Brown, he was throwing off platform. He had at least 2, maybe 3 rushes for first down. So Sam Levitt, not only with his arm but with his legs, was really making a lot of good plays. I'll also say that even though ASU was sacked twice, I thought that the tackles for Arizona State really kept him clean and really kept him upright. So it was absolutely dominating performance by the offense. Maybe a little hot and cold in the first half, but I think second half they definitely found that groove. They had that touchdown to open the third quarter. The game was pretty much over, I think, at halftime. But I think they really put on the claps in the third quarter. Just an excellent performance, by the ASU offense.
Yeah, and we talked about in our preview that this is going to be a game that's won on the ground, and ASU truly did that. Obviously, everything was sort of picturesque, and it was a really good performance just as a whole. But this was a game that was won on the ground, especially for a Wyoming team who's very good up front. So what did you sort of see holistically from ASU's rushing attack?
Well, I just think they're pretty much just overpowered Wyoming. I don't think it was really anything fancy. I think for the most part the runs really between the tackles. But obviously when you even guys like Cam Scatterwin to Carlos Brooks, when you get them in open space, I mean they can do some damage. Obviously a guy like Kyson Brown, one of the fastest running backs in that room, and that really is tough competition over there. We saw what he did in a 68-yard touchdown on a screenplay from Levitt. The true freshman Jason Brown had just a few carries, but had a first down in half of them. Alton McCaskill, the transfer from Colorado, also had some nice runs. So I just think that ASU definitely had the physical advantage over there. They just wore down Wyoming more and more. I don't know if it was an incredibly warm night in Tempe, but maybe warm enough when you're coming from Wyoming. So overall, I just think that ASU really just imposed their will on Wyoming, and this is really no small feat, because Wyoming's strength really is in their front seven. And again, this is a team that won 9 games last year. Didn't play that well on the road, as I mentioned, but nonetheless, I wouldn't take lightly rushing 241 yards against a team like Wyoming. That's an excellent performance. And again, I think that really took so much pressure off the young quarterback's shoulders, and that's why he looked really comfortable out there.
And now on defense too. I mean, Wyoming didn't score until that very last drive of the game. About 2 seconds left, I believe it was. 48-0 up until that point, and opening drive, second play of the game, Cyrus Viasu pick 6. Shortly after that, Keyshawn Elliott with another interception. 3 total turnovers, 2 defensive touchdowns, which is more than they've had all of last season. So, I mean, people have been clamoring about this ASU defense, but how did you sort of see them, set that bar and sort of exceed those?
Yeah, I mean, ASU defense, I think, in 2023 did play pretty well in the first half, maybe first eight games of the season. But even during that stretch, I really felt that the takeaways was a sore subject. And Kenny Dillingham and Brian Ward seemed they were asked about it every week. Well, I don't think anybody's going to be asking them tonight or in the week to follow and maybe this is really going to be a running trend. I mean, we talked about this ASU defense, especially in their front six, being so much better than last year in terms of depth, in terms of overall talent. So really no surprise that not only do they have two defensive touchdowns, but like I said, linebackers besides Larry Fiesa gets a pick six, and defensive end Justin Woodley picks up a fumble and runs that for a touchdown. Just really an absolute domination by the defense, and the play. The game plan, I think, for the ASU defense is really simple. I'm sure you could say easier said than done, but if you stop the run, for Wyoming and force them into obvious passing downs, that's when the Cowboy offense really does run into trouble. And I think that because ASU was able to stop the run so many times early in the game, that definitely did hurt Wyoming quite a bit. We talked about the cornerbacks maybe being the Achilles heel of this defense, but let's face it, they were not tested at all. At all tonight. So I think it's one thing to see this defense really playing so well. During fall camp, you and I were reporting about many more sessions where the defense was playing better than ASU offense. And tonight, I think that this really was a continuation from what we saw in fall camp. This is a special group of players. Really played with a lot of passion from the opening whistle into the last one. And I think that even though this is one of the weakest opponents that ASU is going to face all year long, when you have shutout victories or near shutout victories, as you say in Tempe, that's something you cannot take for granted at all. So this ASU defense really played out of their minds. Don't expect maybe to see this type of performance each and every week, especially when you go to Big 12 conference play. But overall, I think this is a great boost of confidence for our unit, which again, we sang the praises all throughout fall camp, and now under the lights in a game that matters, they definitely came and delivered big time.
And Hode, we've talked about sort of how important this non-conference slate is moving into the Big 12. Again, as you said, no better way to start it off than a 48-7 victory. But now, transitioning to next week, Mississippi State, a team that in its own right, no slouch, had a great week one. What are you sort of expecting to see out of that matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I think Mississippi State is obviously going to know that they really have to impose their own will running the ball against ASU. Otherwise, I think it's going to be a long night for them as well. Mississippi State were very dominating in their win over Eastern Kentucky, 56-7. So it's not like the Bulldogs are coming here to Tempe with any lack of confidence or anything like that. I mean, sure, it's a team that's definitely predicted to finish in the lower echelon of the SEC. But I think the ASU players know that they need to really forget about this dominating victory against Wyoming as quickly as possible. Figure that their quarterbacks, again, that were barely tested tonight, are going to be tested much more next week. When asked the coaches if you're going to keep the playbook barely cracked open for Wyoming, I really didn't get a straight answer, but I'm assuming there's going to be a lot in the bag of tricks of Marcus Aurora on offense, Ryan Ward on defense, and that bag of tricks is really going to have to come to light against Mississippi State, by far the toughest non-conference game for ASU. Sure, I mean, there are things to fix, I'm sure, on offense and on defense, and I was supposed to say, special teams, maybe somewhat of the wet blanket tonight, if you will, missing 2 field goals. So there's definitely some stuff to fix in every facet of this ASU team, but I'm a big believer that it's always much easier to fix shortcomings after a win, especially such a dominating win like tonight. So I think when ASU goes back to the drawing board, they're going to know exactly what needs to be remedied. They're going to know what kind of caliber of opponent awaits them. But I think that when you look at a win that is the highest total margin of victory since the 2013 55-0 win over Sacramento State, you can realize that these season opening one-sided victories are not commonplace in Tempe at all. We've seen a lot of ASU teams, maybe better than this one in 2024, struggle one reason or another in week one. So I think this is something that you should not take for granted. There's a lot of confidence right now in the locker room, and that's exactly what you need when you're coming off a 3-win season, when you are predicted to finish 16th and last in the Big 12. Sure, it's a long season. You got to be very careful about week one overreactions. But I think if you're an ASU fan, you should be very encouraged about what we saw tonight from the offense and from the defense.
We talked about the fact that a decisive victory can do wonders for the team's confidence. And if you're Kenny Dillingham with Kevin Company, you got to be happy going into week 2. But for continuous coverage on ASU football throughout the season, go to DevilsDigest.com. Follow Devils Digest on Twitter at Devils Digest. This has been Justin Lestertosa, publisher of Odrbino. We'll see you guys soon. Have a good night.